Hey everyone, Happy New Year. I hope it has started off well for you all. I know I haven't exactly been consistent in my upload schedule in the last year, but hey, I wanted to start off the new year by looking back and ridiculing the anime I watched and didn't like last year. Now of course the ones on this list are just my opinion, and they are ones that I've actually watched either from start to finish or at least most of. So that means you're not seeing Promised Neverland Season 2 on this list, as I refuse to let it ruin my memory of Season 1. Now that I'm done with the introductions, let's get on with the list. Number 5, My Hero Academia Season 5. Oh well, coincidentally the numbers matched up. Now I'm starting off this list with something a bit controversial, because I'm sure there are those of you who really enjoy Macadamia. I was gonna call it Macadamia, god damn it. But yeah, back on topic, My Hero Academia is on this list not because it's actually that bad, but because it's been more so disappointing to me. I can name a few other anime that could probably take its spot on the list, but yeah, the levels of disappointment for me just I guess it really made me feel like I had to put it on this list. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate the series. I've been following it since there were only 4 chapters out and I'm still keeping up with it. However, for me, the anime has fallen off since around season 4, mainly due to Studio Bones' handling of the anime. The anime quality and pacing has suffered a lot because of the production of the movies, and it is very noticeable. And Season 5's handling of the My Villain Academia arc was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Studio Bones can do better than this, which is why it's on my number 5, not for being bad, but for being disappointing. Number 4, Scarlet Nexus. You know, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't add the animation part to the title, considering this is usually what happens when a studio adapts a video game or something. But yeah, Scarlet Nexus is the anime adaptation of the game with the exact same name. It exists. Yeah, but if it didn't exist, the world probably wouldn't notice. It is forgettable, mediocre, and an awful adaptation of the video game, which is a shame because the opening for the anime is actually a banger. In hindsight, condensing a game that has between 25 and 60 hours of gameplay and story into a 26 episode series probably isn't the best idea. It goes about as well as you think it's gonna go, so pretty bad. You know, now that I'm recording this, it kinda just reminds me of Persona 5 the animation. They both really only exist as bad advertisements to tell you that the games exist and that you should play the games instead. But for people like me who've actually played the game before getting into the anime, it's kind of just a big slap in the face. So yeah, the anime is just a big waste of time. Please, just play the game instead, or just watch a playthrough of it or something on YouTube. You'll get much better enjoyment out of it that way. Number 3, Tesla Note. So, in another strange decision by the anime industry, they decided to create the spiritual successor to X-Arm in the exact same year as X-Arm. Truly, an ingenious decision. At the very least, it looks better than X-Arm, but that's not a very high bar to cross. It also shares many of the weird quirks X-Arm has, like having 3D characters interacting with 2D characters, or just having poor 3D models that look like they're made of literal Play-Doh. I'm still trying to make myself finish this series, and it's it's been rough. But hey, at least it looks better than X-Arm, guys, yeah. Number 2, X-Arm. Yes, you heard me right. X-Arm is not number 1. It is not the worst anime I've personally watched in 2021, despite the fact that the only redeeming quality of X-Arm is the sheer amount of memes that have come out of it. I feel like I really don't have to explain what X-Arm is and everything wrong with it because my channel kinda speaks for itself. If you want to see how bad it is yourself, just check out my older videos on it or watch the show for some reason if you really want to do that to yourself. Now, before we go on to number 1, I'd just like to list down some honorable mentions. First off, Redo of Healer. Yes, I did end up watching some of Redo of Healer. It can basically be summarized as revenge porn. That is, edgy for the sake of being edgy. And for some reason, like 90% of the characters in the show are just cartoonishly evil so that it can justify the protagonist's actions against them, I guess? But yeah, let's be real here for a sec. This isn't really much of an anime, this is kinda more like a hentai. But considering it's listed as an anime, I'm just gonna review it as if it's an anime. And it's not a great anime, but it's probably an okay hentai, I guess. Next honorable mention, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, Omega. Yes, I also watched this, and yes, it's just about as trashy as it looks. And yeah, I also watched it from start to finish, so that doesn't really help my argument here. But hey, at least I wouldn't say it's boring, you know, I kinda give it a pass for that at least. Last honorable mention, So I'm a Spider, So What? Now this one's here mainly because of the mishaps in the second half of the show. Of course there were many changes that the studio made in comparison to the light novel, but overall, like, it was still pretty enjoyable. The CG used in the series is definitely above what was used in X-Arm, and our protagonist, Kumoko, hard carries the show with her personality. It's just a shame that production issues, censorship, and time constraints really brought down one of my favorite light novel series. Also doesn't help that they did the human side really dirty in the anime. But anyways, we'll leave that topic for another video, as we now move on to my number 1 spot. So the worst anime of 2021 for me that I personally watched is High Guardian Spice. Yeah, maybe not that surprising. What can I say about High Guardian Spice that hasn't already been said by dozens of other YouTubers? This anime has been the center of much criticism for many reasons, such as its shoddy writing, its awkward dialogue, poor animation, use of literal stock images that don't even match the look of the show.
It's beautiful!
And some questionable voice acting and audio mixing.
Oh, she's out back. She's elbow deep in turnips.
How's school?
Oh, it's fine. We're on break. We got catapulted out because of a trapper infestation.
At times it had moments where I actually thought it wasn't too bad, but it just has so many flaws in just every single aspect that I just can't ignore them. I think one of the things that boggles my mind the most about this series is the fact that there are people who blindly defend it. Now, I'm not saying you can't enjoy this series, I mean, people can enjoy whatever shows they want. But when I'm talking about people blindly defending it, I'm referring to the people who are willing to just ignore all the flaws pointed out by others, and then just label them all as being simply anti-LGBT misogynists or whatever. Yeah, you know all those people that don't like the thing I like? You know, they're just the devil's spawn, you know, they don't understand. They're just haters, you know? I hear they eat children for breakfast and pour their milk in before their cereal. People have legitimate issues with the show, and trying to deflect their criticism by calling them names is not a real argument. The plot is essentially non-existent for the first half of the show. Hell, like, a good chunk of the first episode is basically filler and it accomplishes almost nothing in terms of plot. Which is kind of a problem considering episode 1 in a show is usually used to establish the plot and characters, and the fact that it doesn't do that is kind of a red flag. The only important things that happen in the episode are that the audience gets to see the rest of the party members for like a split second, and the main pair, Rosemary and Sage, arrive at school. That's it. It took a full episode to accomplish that. The show also fails to explain certain aspects properly when they seem like they'd be pretty important to the plot. For example, the show never fully explains what a guardian is, which, for context, is what the main characters are all going to school to become. You'd think they would actually explain to the audience just what exactly the protagonists are aiming to be. Instead, it's left very vague, which results in their goal appearing very blurry and not very concrete. The show did, however, manage to awkwardly give us the Wikipedia definition of what a transgender person is.
Is that your sister?
It's me, actually.
You're a girl?
I'm transgender. I don't know that word. I was born into a female body, but it wasn't the right body for me. So I used new magic to change it.
Cool. You can do that? Is that kind of transformation magic permanent?
I take a potion once a month to keep the spell active.
So, yeah, that's a thing. I guess we can see where their priorities are. Anyways, there's just so much to break down with what's wrong with this show that I'd have to make an entire separate video to explain it all. And because of that, High Guardian Spice earns the #1 spot on my worst anime of 2021 list. That concludes my list for the worst anime I've watched in 2021. Once again, this is just my opinion, but I'm probably going to get blasted by someone in the comment section for this list. I'd also like to hear what awful shows you guys have watched last year, you know? So leave a comment down below to share it with us. Take care everyone, hope to see you guys next time.